Hello, and welcome to this overview of the Climate Science Alliance's 2025 Giving Cycle. We are so pleased you have joined us and look forward to sharing this important opportunity with you. Let's get started. Respect, relationships, and reciprocity are the core values of the Climate Science Alliance. To celebrate our 10th year, the Climate Science Alliance is investing in community-led climate activities through our Reciprocity and Regranting Program's 2025 Giving Cycle. We are now accepting applications for grants up to $100,000 for organizations and up to $5,000 in grants for small projects and stipends for professional development. During this informational overview, you'll learn about the Climate Science Alliance and our Reciprocity and Regranting programs. We'll give you updates on our 2025 Giving Cycle and help you find your match to understand our grant categories. We'll also help you understand what to expect for our application process and pathways for asking for help. The Climate Science Alliance was formed in 2015 to safeguard natural and human communities in the face of a changing climate. We do this through leading activities and creating partnerships which increase awareness of climate change impacts, promote solutions, and facilitate action. The Climate Science Alliance collaborates with more than 460 partner organizations, agencies, and community allies. We serve as a boundary-spanning organization that convenes, invests, and ignites transformational climate adaptation through our community-visioned, led, and implemented efforts. Our core areas are focused around convene, invest, and ignite. Through our work to convene, we support people in spaces that build and sustain relationships, identify priorities, and mentor the next generation. We invest in our community partners through seed funding for their climate activities and support community priorities and needs. Our Ignite team is working to respectfully serve as a network of communication to promote the efforts of our partners and our organizational model. Our Reciprocity and Regranting Program is one of several ways that we fill a unique space that is critical to advancing a just and equitable future in a climate-changed world. Respect, relationships, and reciprocity are at the core of the Climate Science Alliance's commitment. We are dedicated to doing our part to support trust-based philanthropy and support pathways that efficiently get funding into people's hands in an equitable and accessible manner. Our approach to regranting is from the heart and focused on meeting the needs of our partners. Due to limited funding, our application process is competitive, but we have done our best to reduce barriers and challenges associated with applying and have taken on additional responsibilities to better support applicants. The Climate Science Alliance is working collaboratively with foundations, government entities, and donors to identify and bridge gaps to advance trust-based investments in climate solutions. Since 2023, we have been able to invest more than $575,000 in tribal serving and indigenous-led organizations, over $230,000 in technical advisors, fellows, and interns, and over $70,000 in small projects and professional development. As a team, we are here to be in service to community and are committed to being bold in tackling climate challenges in a way that creates lasting, transformative impact. These awards go beyond financial investments. We match them with support, technical skills, and expertise of our team and advisors to ensure that our partners are fully supported. We are grateful to our funders and community partners who trust us and give us the ability to be creative and responsive to your needs. Our 2025 Giving Cycle is focused on our theme of In Your Hands, and applications are now open. We will be accepting applications on a rolling basis until all available funding is expended. We will begin reviewing applications on February 1st of 2025. Organizational grants are available for the Southern California region. Small project grants and professional development stipends are available for Southern California, California coastal areas, and the California-Mexico cross-border region. In terms of our timelines, organizational grants need to take place between March 2025 and November 2026. We will, however, give priority to projects that can be completed by November of 2025. Small projects and professional development run on a similar timeline and need to be completed by November of 2025. Our project focus areas include the following. All projects must have a climate change emphasis, and they must focus on uplifting community-led climate adaptation and resilience efforts. Activities in the following focus areas will receive priority in our review. Topics include cultural fire, native plant restoration, fire and land stewardship, and coastal resilience and stewardship. Projects that have a community benefit will be given priority. Projects that take an intergenerational approach will also be given a priority. The California-Mexico cross-border collaborations will also be considered as they relate to any of the priority areas mentioned above. Organizational grants are between $50,000 and $100,000, and they need to be focused on an organization's ability to strengthen their capacity to advance collaboration, planning, and actions across Southern California. The focus should be on uplifting indigenous, tribal, and community-led efforts that promote co-stewardship and climate resilience. For our small grants in professional development, these projects can receive up to $5,000, supporting community-led efforts that fill gaps in existing projects and help seed fund new efforts to advance community-led climate programs, planning, events, and activities. The purpose of our organizational grants are intended to strengthen the capacity for indigenous, tribal, or tribal-serving organizations to advance community-led co-stewardship and climate resilience in Southern California. Eligible projects will support efforts to explore and integrate indigenous knowledges, participation, and leadership in climate adaptation planning and stewardship. Topical focus areas include cultural fire, native plant restoration, fire and land stewardship, and coastal resilience and stewardship. Geographic location is limited to Southern California, and the performance period is between March 2025 and November 26. However, priority will be given to projects that can be completed by November of 2025. In terms of eligibility, nonprofits or fiscally sponsored, tribal serving or tribal-led organizations are eligible, tribal governments, and also nonprofit organizations that have established partnerships with tribal and/or indigenous entities or communities. Joint applications with multiple partners will receive additional attention. Current and past Climate Science Alliance grantees are eligible to apply. Appropriate use of funds include funding for new projects or to add capacity to existing efforts. This could include, but is not limited to, supplies, materials, communication, education and outreach, travel support, staff capacity, training, and/or honorariums and stipends. Restoration activities will require additional review and should already be permitted, if required, and adhere to all CEQA and NEPA and/or other legal requirements. Funding exclusions include religious or political activities, advocacy, funding endowments or funding campaigns, organizational debt, or past events or projects. International or out-of-state travel will require additional authorization. For our small projects and professional development, grants for small projects are intended to support community-based projects or events. This funding can be used to fill in gaps in existing projects or help to seed fund new efforts. Funding can be used to help disseminate activities, support community events, support community-led programming, or other activities that are related to climate change planning and community resilience, responses, education, and outreach. Stipends for professional development are intended to address any financial barriers to participation for activities such as training, conferences, classes, meetings with partners, and/or knowledge exchange activities. Grant amounts for both of these categories is up to $5,000. The geographic location includes Southern California, California coastal regions, and the California-Mexico cross-border region. The performance period for these grants is March 2025 to November 2025. Eligibility is restricted to nonprofits or fiscally sponsored tribal serving or tribal-led organizations, tribal governments, nonprofit organizations with established partnerships with tribal or indigenous entities or communities. Individuals can receive professional development stipends directly. Current and past Climate Science Alliance grantees are eligible to apply. Appropriate use of this funding includes purchasing supplies, materials, communication efforts, education and outreach, travel support, and honorariums. These funds can also support stipends for professional development by addressing any financial barriers to participation. Appropriate use can include, but is not limited to, travel costs, registration, supplies, and required materials. As with our organizational funding, funding cannot be used for religious or political activities, advocacy, fund endowments or funding campaigns, organizational debt, or past events or projects. Again, international or out-of-state travel will require additional authorization. As you move forward in your application process, it's good to know what you can expect. We will be accepting applications on a rolling basis until all available funding is expended. We do anticipate that there will be a high demand for this funding and encourage you to apply as soon as possible. We will begin reviewing applications on February 1st of 2025. The first phase of this process is our letter of intent. If you're interested in applying, you would need to submit a letter of intent using a short application form to share your ideas and intentions. The link for this short jot form can be found on our website. Once your letter of intent is submitted, it will be reviewed and a selection of proposals will be identified for further exploration. If your LOI is approved for the next stage of review, the Climate Science Alliance team will schedule a discussion either in person or via Zoom to further discuss the details of the proposed effort. For final selections, for organizations and individuals who proceed to this final stage, the Climate Science Alliance team will schedule a site visit or in-person meeting if needed to finalize details for distribution of funds and reporting requirements. While applicants are welcome to submit more than one LOI, please know that likely only one application per organization, community, or individual will be funded. In addition to the guidelines and criteria specific to each grant category, the review process will prioritize projects that include members of any of our Climate Science Alliance working groups, projects that include collaboration with partners in forestry, fire, and coastal stewardship and management, projects that have a strong community benefit, projects that take an intergenerational approach, and projects that include collaboration with the Climate Science Alliance team. Additional guidelines and criteria to note: joint applications with multiple partners will receive additional attention. Current and past Climate Science Alliance grantees are eligible to apply. Funding can be utilized for staff time. However, funding cannot be used for religious or political activities, advocacy, fund endowments or funding campaigns, organizational debt, or past events or projects. Restoration activities should be already permitted and adhere to all CEQA, NEPA, or other legal requirements. Information sessions and points of contact. The Climate Science Alliance team is holding information sessions to provide a general overview of the Reciprocity and Regranting Program and details about this 2025 giving cycle. Attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions and be connected with the Climate Science Alliance team member if needed. Information sessions and dates will be listed on our webpage. If you're unable to attend this information session and still have questions after visiting the Reciprocity and Regranting Program webpages, please contact the Climate Science Alliance team directly at info@climatesciencealliance.org. Thank you again for your time and attention, and we are so excited to see your ideas and projects. Please apply today.